I wanted to mention that we're in the beginning that we're not taking any political sides, not the Russian, the Ukrainian, but we're talking now about a disaster which started to go on last 5 days. It's already been on for 8 years. 8 years ago, which started to when the Russian occupied in Ukraine. We are the next shluchim, the next Chabad house from and the way to Lugansk or Donetsk or Crimea. So we are in southeast located and the side of the river of Dnieper. So this problem, the matter with Russian, it's not a new matter. It's already old question. But since Ukraine became independent for the past 30 years, there was a few presidents doing our bit here, which they be actually not official, but under the Russian authorities. But the last president, the currently president, is a Jew. His name is Zelensky. Vladimir Zelensky. He became much more pro the other side of not the Russian, but more of the south and a bit more involved in the world, and not to be a part of the Russian Federation. And this makes us with one of the matters, as I'm sure that everyone was reading in the internet or in any news, that Ukraine wanted to get into NATO. And the Russian Federation did not like too much this, and they was trying to negotiate to decide that it's not. Yeah. But unfortunately, there wasn't any possibility because the Ukrainian authorities decide this way, and that's it. So already for a while, we had about 200,000 Russian soldiers around all Ukraine. And when there was a question started being what's going to be in Ukraine with the Russian army, I would say in a day or maximum 2 or 2.5 days will be right away Russian. We couldn't imagine myself that would be such a fight, the war would start. It started 5 days ago. We started up in the middle of the night and I heard booming, which I never heard before. And I didn't see in the internet, but I told my wife something bad is happening here. And I was jumping out from my bed. And
so just to clarify, just to make sure I understand what you're saying that in the beginning, at the end of last week, Wednesday, Thursday, you and the other Chabad rabbis and other people who were in somewhat of a know in Ukraine, they didn't imagine that the war would get this bad and that this intense, and the humanitarian disaster. Is that one of the main things that you didn't imagine would happen?
That's exactly the point. We thought that our neighbors from Russia, they have like a tactic of a war. In any war in the world, there's a tactic, there's rules, any rules which you can do. So we thought there's one actor is acting, nobody knows what he wants. He doesn't speak, he doesn't say anything. And all Ukraine and all the side of waiting to happen, what's going to happen. We thought that it's really just threatened. He's not going to get into Ukraine. And therefore, we decided to stay here and not to go away. But 5 days ago, it became real. He started to bomb and to move on from the side of the Russian side, from Rostov. If you know exactly I can send you later the map, so then you can see it exactly. From the side of Rostov to get into Bryansk, it's near the sea, and then to move up to a city called Melitopol. So this is the region of Zaporozhye. So the way they started the war, they started to go to the little towns, to the region of Kharkov, the region of Zaporozhye, and in the other side. And they started to do is to shoot where there's army bases. So in the beginning, we thought it just, it's starting for a few days, and then to make sure that our president in Ukraine is becoming to negotiation about Ukraine. And as it's not going to happen, so they start more aggressive. The aggressive started to go more inside to the big cities.
But and how does that affect Zaporozhye? Like, what would you say right now is the biggest concern in Zaporozhye?
The biggest concern that we are waiting any minutes. He can knock down buildings as he's doing now. He started to knock down buildings and roads and airports. and he started to shoot in a hospital, a kindergarten. There's no rules. He can do anything he wants right now. We're waiting. Maybe he can come with planes from up there and to shoot and to just to raise Zaporozhye in Ganzen. And so for sure.
And they did that. They did that in the Kharkov Square. Is that right?
Yeah, in Kharkov we made it, and also in Kherson.
Square.
In Kherson, there was just about our Rabbi Wolf from Kherson. Just a few hours ago, he got a phone call. He was living the last minute before he wouldn't be. I don't want to say in life, but it could be knocked down in a basement. As the same problem with us too, which now we are in a very, 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 very very bad situation, which could be a disaster, not just personal and familiar. For me, it's for the whole community, entire community. I will give an example that it's not just a problem with the Russian problem soldiers, it's also a problem with the Ukrainian. Not because anti-Semitism, it becomes a very, very friendly now, all the population, the regular population, the Jewish population. As Zaporozhye, as you know, it's a million populations of it's a city as much as big with the earth, like bigger than Israel. And there's a few 100,000 around Zaporozhye population. Out of them, 10,000 in the city of Zaporozhye, 5,000 in the region of Zaporozhye. The biggest problem is that there's no, Ukraine did not be ready to go with such a war. And also me, I didn't believe that there would be such a fights with them. And they giving back. Sometimes they took over the region and became a chaos. There's no rules. There's nothing. They shooting people on the street. They steal the banks. It becomes a tohu vavohu. There's nothing. It become a place that's chaos, which nobody can rule it. Nobody can be in top of it. And that's one of the problems with our neighbor, the president, the Russian Federation president, which in every war is supposed to be rules. Here there's the first rule that there's no rules. And that's very, very scary because near Zaporozhye there's an atom stanция and also in Chernobyl. So they started to attack all the places where it's a strategy, where there's weapons, there was army bases. That was the beginning. Then he took over Chernobyl, and now yesterday they took over a city called Nergadar. It was also a very, very big fight, but they took it over. Over there they have also the atom stanция of Ukraine. So it's very scary with such a person. He can ask the army they should open up the atom stanция, and then who knows what's going to happen? We don't know exactly. So we will ask a question, why did we stay here? Because we feel for 25 years, we're working here in the community. We have established a kindergarten, a school, and a new synagogue, and many, many good things. We have many activities for young, for elderly people. And you feel part of the city. You are one. It's not. You cannot throw away a family that you built for 25 years. So I didn't mean myself that we will come to such a stage. As I mentioned, there's a problem with the Ukrainian army because now they started in the city. There's a lot of places where they put a block post. How do you say it in English?
Blockade.
Blockade. So, and the Ukrainians gave out for 1,500 people in the city guns. And you know, when people is getting guns, if you're 20 years, you can get a gun and let's go fight. There's nobody is watching what's going on with the guns. So it becomes like a jungle, one big jungle. I will give an example myself. We have a school in the beginning of the city. So I will ask we preparing now food for 500 people each day, breakfast and supper and lunch. And I had a problem with the mashgiach in kasher, so I went to the school to make sure that everything there is all right.
To make sure everything's kosher.
Yeah, if it's kosher.
Okay.
Supervisor, yeah. So I prepared everything, and then I decided to go back to the city. during I was coming back to the city, they put another place with blocks,
like a checkpoint and right.
Yeah.
They closed
So
off the road.
You have to travel. When I came to the last place, when they staying there, they showed me that I have to stop, but I didn't realize because there was a few cars and it's also get in the beginning of the night, and I didn't realize. I was watching how to. Anyways, I'm trying to drive further, and right away they start to scream in a microphone, "Stop the car!" I stopped the car, and right away they asked me, "Go out of the car." As I'm going out of the cars, they pulled over guns and they started to shoot. And some of one screams me, "You are Chechen. You look like with a beard. You are Chechen." Because Putin is about to send, or he sent about 20,000 Chechen military, which they're anarchists. They can do any. They have no.
They're ruthless.
Yeah. That's ridiculous what they can do. So they're very, very afraid to see such a soldier in this. So when they saw me, it was near there's in middle of the city, there's a bridge which holding the water not to get into Zaporozhye. So that bridge was being built 80 years ago. And it's if God forbid, if they're shooting down this bridge, all the city will get flow with water, and who knows what's going to happen. So they staying there, and they saw somebody looks like a Chechen. So they start to shoot. In the beginning, they shoot for in this way, in the air, and then they asked me right away, "Put down yourself," and they asked me, "Keep your hands on the other side," and they start to shoot. Not just in the air, in the sides too. And they told me, if you're moving yourself, you're going to get a bullet, and that's it. I was screaming and saying Shema Israel, even I didn't have time to say Hashem Echad. And I was begging and asking, and I'm screaming them, I'm a Jew, I'm the rabbi of the community, leave me alone, I'm not doing anything, I have 7 children, just let me live. And they didn't care anything. And mazel that I have my Israeli passport, so I threw down the passport, and somebody saw it. And right away, before they wanted to shoot, he said, "Oh, okay, stop, wait, let's wait." So then they checked the passport. They looked at me, and they said, "Okay, if it's you," they took me up to the jeep of the army jeep, and also there was a few soldiers going with guns against me. They told me, if you're moving, you're doing anything, right away, a bullet. And ends up, they took me to an investigation. And Baruch Hashem, finally, that in the investigation, the first, they started to ask me questions, what I'm doing here, and this and that. So he didn't know me, but then the guy on top of him came in, and right away there was a person which he knowed me if he saw me in the television or whatever. Sometimes we met each other, I don't remember exactly. And he hugs me and he said, "What do? You know that it's now a war, and you look with your bird, you have 2 options. Either stay home, either keep your bird, either take off your bird. Because it's impossible now in such a time to walk and to." So the option to stay home, it's also not the best option. So he told me, "You know what? I will let you should go from my house to travel to the shul. It's about 10 minutes. So he told me, you could go from the house to the shul, from the shul to the house. That's it." So since then, Baruch Hashem, finally, that's what I'm doing. And in the meantime, what I do, there's a disaster, humanitarian aid. I mean, there's no food, there's no Medicaid, there's no gas, there's no the money machine not working, bank system not working. And as for now, people are still buying till for today. They were trying to build, and they took over. There's nothing, empty shelves in the stores. But since we had a good connection with the suppliers, which are giving out to our school, and I know them during the year, so I'll be able to ask them, they should bring me from the machsanim, from the
warehouses,
which they have there many foods, to bring to the shul. Many cases of anything, all the products, vegetables, products, and even pampers for children, and Medicaid, food for children. And besides that, we have to give food for 500 people each day. And whatever was happened like this when why there's no silence in the first day of the war, because the silence did not work. It was never a silence in Ukraine. I don't remember for the 25 years as I'm here. They never tried it because there was no need for it.
You're saying the sirens for the ear raids, for the
yeah. So you cannot. So therefore, we didn't hear even that there's the war starts. Today, Baruch Hashem, and I'm saying Baruch Hashem, unfortunately, but we still hear that there's a silent or it's bombs flying under you or in the city. You can so you hear a silent. And when there's a silent, there was a big crowd which they came to the shul. Mostly it was from the Jewish community and also not from the Jewish community. Came with dogs and cats and even with a small. I saw a small girl with 5 fish, which she took. It looks ridiculous. It reminds me, I was reading many books about Hasidim, which they went through here in Ukraine, in Russia, but I never was thinking myself that I will be in 2022 in such a situation exactly. When you see small children of a month or 2 months and children, elderly people, which you don't have where there's no bombs, a bombing place to stay. A shelter. And they begging, they asking, Rabbi, open up the door, let us. So I said, okay, come in. Then in the end was already full. So I said, there's no place. So they said, you know what, I'm sure that you have our only place, this shul, the synagogue, let us at least to get into the shul, to enter the shul, we will stay in the shul. So I didn't have I couldn't stay to see how these parents crying and asking and begging. So we let them to. And so now the shul returned like a bombshell for all the community. Besides that,
okay. No, so I just wanted to I forgot in the beginning to say the schedule of how it's going to go tonight. So first of all, we're going to have time for questions and answers at the end. So if anybody has questions and answers, that you'd like Rabbi Ehrentreu to answer, you can type it in the chat box. Rabbi Blooming, who's with us from Chabad Potomac, is going to moderate the questions and answers. I also wanted to say thank you to Chabad of Laurel for joining and Chabad of Potomac Village, who's here with us as well. So we're going to continue the talk itself from now until 8:45, and then we'll do questions and answers at the end. But a very important thing I want to get to is what could we do to help? We could daven, we can pray, we can say Tehillim. What do you think we can do to help? What are your needs right now? What are your practical needs as far as if you need to escape, if you need to evacuate, if there's a way that we can help with the food, with the medicine, the things that you said? So
there's 2 kinds of helps. There's spiritual help, and there's also material helps. I will start with the spiritual as a rabbi. So the spiritual is if everyone will take upon himself one good deed. If it's a man, to put on tefillin. If it's a lady, she should let Shabbos candle, the next Shabbos candle lights. Any good deed, to put a tzedakah in the pushka, and to pray and to ask Hashem that when we feel that all over the globe people are asking and they praying for us, give us a lot of strength. So that's one of the big help. The other help is we now still could buy more food. Every day we're giving. Today I gave out for 800 people to save them and to give them food, just food they should have in case if the Russian tanks will come, they're going to come here. And it's going to happen. It's a matter of now, I think, or tomorrow or after tomorrow, because the fight, there's a very, very blood fight now near my house. And here they knocked down all over Ukraine, all the airports. And I think it's going to be a time when people will be starving and stealing and so on. So my question, my our problem is to get food. So many people ask me how you can get food. So since the bank system is not working here, no credit cards, no bank, nothing. But since we're working here already for many years, for 25 years, and during this time, I got to know many suppliers which they have warehouses of food. So they can give us credit. If I give them a word that I'm giving credit and they know my connections and so on, so they're ready to give me with no money, because anyways now it's not gonna help. It's impossible now to send money. So if I made a campaign and people are giving money to this, towards this campaign, towards this products or medication or whatever needs, that's one part of the problem. The other part of the problem, today we're starting to evacuate those that can go out. There's young families, there's children, and there's ladies, there's people that are sick, which we have to evacuate them. So there's two, how are we going to evacuate them? We're near 85 kilometers away from Dnipropetrovsk. So we're now taking tomorrow 400 people from our community to Dnipropetrovsk, and from there will be a train which will take everyone to Lvov, Lemberg. As you remember, 80 years ago, when the Chabad Hasidim went out of Ukraine, there was a echelon. There was a very famous echelon which went from Lemberg. So the same thing, we're going to evacuate them to Lvov. From Lvov, will be taking or to the Polish or to the Hungarian, and from there with planes. So the Sochnut take them themselves to pay the planes from over the border. But till the border, we have to also, I'm sure that I spoke already to take them away. Sometimes they have to give them money. They should also keep us, may Hashem bless us, and we should all daven and hope that in the way, the way is very, very dangerous from one side of the Russian, from the other side of the Ukrainian, and could be a fire on a fire. And it's I'm taking upon myself, me and my wife, to evacuate and to do such a thing, which God forbid, if something happens, everything is my head. So I am begging and asking by tomorrow, by us, it will be 2 o'clock a day. The train will take us will take the community, a part of the community, to Lvov. It's taking 24 hours. So we need very big miracles, at least in the next 15 hours, when we're going out of the middle of Ukraine. From the other side, those that are staying here, it's a big, big disaster what's going on now in Ukraine. It becomes like a disaster which the world don't understand what's going on. It's a massing of killing people. Honestly, people going in the street, which they never do anything bad to anyone, just take a gun, take a tank and to shoot them. There's no rules in this game, and not a game, in this war actually. And the problem is that nobody can stop him from anything to do. So we are waiting for, Baruch Hashem, thank God that for now, I can speak to you. We had today a blackout. We didn't have no electricity, no water. It could happen any minutes. We'll be close. I was trying to call to my colleagues. It's not just me, Rabbi Moskowitz from Kharkov, which is going on a very, very serious war now, and they knock down houses in the middle of the city, which I'm very, very afraid which is going to happen here. And not just by him in Kherson, there's many, many rabbis which now became a consul and a doctor, and you have to monitor so many works, and because the consul went away from Ukraine, all the organization, the Sochnut agency went away from there. There's just a few shluchim, young rabbis would be staying here with Mesurus Nefesh to keep the work